call came out for an armed robbery down at Old Dundalk. I didn't know what time of day it was. I knew Erica was the only one down there. Any backup she had was coming out of squad, so I decided to start up from the precinct, get in my car, figure out where it's at.
I saw the bus leave. It was on Dundalk Avenue heading towards the city, and I got behind the bus and I stopped it. I got on the bus and I saw the suspect in the very back of the bus, and I told him I needed to speak with him, and he pulled out a gun. Well, there was a lot that was going through my mind when I saw that. First was to take cover. I heard 2 shots.
When I came upon the bus, I observed Officer Slocum to the rear of the bus, kind of pinned down. Shots were being fired. I pulled up just offset of the bus and got out of my vehicle and started to get fired upon. I was trying to retrieve my Kevlar helmet to offer a little bit more protection because the suspect was elevated. So I moved around the side of my vehicle, opened up the rear door, and reached in to grab where I know my helmet is. A round came through the windshield.
Apparently he tells everybody, get off the bus, which is best case scenario for the worst case we had. As they're all running off, it runs through my head. What if he's in this crowd and turns around and just pops one off? So I'm sitting there searching, and as soon as everybody clears, the shots started ringing out.
I pull up, got some people walking away from the bus. Gary's starting to take some cover behind his car. And I don't know what kind of weapon we have or anything, so the first thing I do is I go into the trunk and obtain the shotgun. Then I approach the bus. I get cover behind our 1210 vehicle, which is the vehicle that Erica was in. Gary's saying he's still on the bus, he's still on the bus. He comes to the front of the bus. I see him fire out the front door of the bus towards Gary's vehicle. I get the shotgun ready and I start firing.
And the worst part is, we couldn't see him. We only seen his hands with the pistols hanging out.
And as I pulled up to the scene and I opened my door, it was like somebody flipped on a switch. You could hear the helicopter, you could hear the gunshots ringing out, you could hear bullets hitting stuff. I quickly grabbed my body armor from the seat next to me and I threw it on and I took cover behind my car.
I had switched over to my handgun. So I engage him as he's coming off the bus, trying to run for more cover and firing. He got cover behind a van.
Officer down, officer down. I was completely behind cover and I was kneeling down, and I guess the bullet must have jumped off the ground and hit me. But it struck the front of my knee and then bounced around, and I have 2 exit wounds on the side of my leg.
I heard a scream. I turned back and I saw Officer Slocum was lying on the ground with an obvious gunshot wound to her right leg. She said, "Pat, I'd been shot." She was exposed and not behind cover. I went to her. I pulled her behind the left rear tire. I saw that she had dropped her gun. I went back and I got that and I put it in her hand in case the suspect had closed.
I poked my head out. I can see him crouched down behind the van. There were hedges along the sidewalk. I used those hedges to get a little bit closer, but the angle I had at that point, I couldn't get a clean shot at him. There was a lull in the shooting, and I made the choice to step out away from the cover out into the open, but I knew once I was out there I only had a short amount of time to get my shot off. I had perfect sight picture, and I stepped out into the intersection. I let one round go. I saw him stumble backwards, and we moved in on him at that point.
I hear one shot ring out, and I thought it was him, because one gun was still pointed in our direction underneath of him. At that point, we had nothing else to do. We opened fire and ended the threat. Immediately, me and Gibbs cuff him per procedure and then head over to clear the bus.
At that point, I hear Erica say that she's been shot. I sprint to where she's at. We get a tourniquet on her leg. Her leg had swollen up so much from the gunshot that I had to hold the tourniquet tight the whole time, waiting for medics to arrive.
I was concerned for Officer Slocum's well-being. I was very confident that she was going to be fine. I told her later, I don't break my promises.
To other officers involved in this type of tactical situation, the main piece of advice I would give is to rely on your training and trust the officers that are working with you. Trusting the people that you work with is extremely important, because I knew that when I wasn't able to engage the suspect anymore, that they were able to take care of it for me.
Didn't sit in for probably a week. It was real. Some people go their whole career without having to fire their weapon. Here I am, 3 years on the road, and the worst thing possible happened.
It's something that we always train for. We hope never happens until it does. Luckily, we all worked as a team that day. There were no fatalities on any good guys' parts. which was a good thing. It's still unbelievable to me.
We're just like everyone else. We just chose this profession. We did it to help people. We did it to make a difference, to make the world a little bit better of a place to live.